Warning: the following episode contains mature subject matters, mentions of immigrant culture, and a Brazilian host with the energy of a chaotic vampire. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to The Laura Faritos Show. My name is Laura Faritos, and this is my show. That sums it up. Today's episode is episode 0 by Impostor. Hello, Chaotic. Enjoy. Hello. Wow, this is episode 0. I can't even believe I'm saying this after 4 weeks consecutively coming to studio to record and re-record and edit and then record again. And I'm actually posting. Oh my god, can you believe? So, hello. If you're listening to episode 0, you probably know me. You're probably one of my friends. And if that's you, I am so thankful that you're listening to my silly little attempt at expressing myself. Oh, look at me, putting myself out there. In this episode, we're going to talk about my imposter syndrome, and that's about it. First things first, it's really hard for me to talk about having an imposter syndrome because for the longest time, I didn't think I had an imposter syndrome. I just thought I wasn't good at anything I did. It never occurred to me that the voice in my head could be lying, you know? The voice in my head used to tell me that I was ugly. Obviously lies. If you already know me and you've seen some of my recent Instagram posts, you know I've got it. But my brain doesn't know that. My brain convinced me for a really long time that I was ugly, that I was unattractive, that I was uninteresting, and that ultimately no one really cared about what I had to say. Turns out some of you really do care about what I have to say, which makes no sense to me. Like my brain does not conceive the idea of somebody willingly listening to my podcast, which is why it's taking me so long to do this. I feel like I should have had a YouTube channel and a podcast since I was 18. And everybody would keep telling me, oh, Laura, do your show. Oh, Laura, post stuff online. And I could never conceive in my idea, like, no one's going to listen to this. No one's going to watch this. In talking to my therapist, I've realized that my imposter syndrome will win if I continue to let time pass, because it's never perfect, And I'm done. I'm not going to be ruled by the imposter in my head. I don't think we're going to part ways. I think my imposter is always going to be in my head. I like to refer to her as the Darth Laura, like Darth Vader, but Darth Laura. I think Darth Laura is always going to be speaking at the back of my head, but I can choose not to listen, And the way I'll do that is going to be by posting the show and avoiding editing at all costs. So if it sounds like I'm mumbling, it's probably because I am. It's probably because I had the option of editing this in a way that I don't mumble, and I actively chose not to do that. Because once I start editing, then the imposter starts speaking. And then it's never edited enough, and then it's never good enough, and then maybe I'll post it later once it's properly edited, and then time goes by, and then I never post anything, and boom, So that's it. That's about it. It's the Laura Faritos Show, and we're saying goodbye to my imposter. Why? Because inaction is an action, okay? Inaction is an action. With me taking 5 years, every single year, I keep thinking this is the year that I'm gonna post my blog. If you go through my Instagram and you go through some of my old posts, I think ever since 2018, you're gonna find, soft launch announcements to things that never came through. Because I would announce it, I would get super excited, I would start editing it, and then it wasn't ever good enough to my standards, and then I would cry and then just never post and hope everybody forgot. And at the end of the day, that was an action, that was a choice that I made. Those were choices that I've made, which kind of led people to think, well, whenever she announces something, we should just ignore it because she's not going to go through with it. And it's a double-edged sword that I set up for myself. And I'm tired of it. You know, inaction is an action. By not posting anything in the last 5 years because I didn't think my skills were, perfect enough, that my accent wasn't, softened enough or whatever, I made a choice to not improve my skills. And I understand that now. I understand that had I started posting 5 years ago, weekly, bi-weekly, for the sake of posting, maybe no one would have been watching. Maybe no one would have been engaging. But I would be in a much better professional place today if I had that portfolio, So that's where I'm at now. I'm not doing this because I expect to have an audience. I think that if I do have an audience, it's definitely going to be great. At the end of the day, all I care about really is just getting it out there. Just getting it out there, even if no one listens. Because, again, inaction is an action. Choosing to listen to my imposter syndrome might not have been a conscious choice, but it was an action. And now my action is to choose to ignore my imposter syndrome, to choose to post episodes that are not up to my standards. I repeat, they are not up to my standards. If you listen to one of my episodes and you go, Laura, this is poorly edited, I know, bitch. I know. I am the first person to notice the editing mistakes, okay? I am the first person to notice all of those clicks, all of those all of those things that could be edited out if I was nitpicky about it. I know. And I am choosing to let it go. So you can either let it go as well and just enjoy me uncensored, or you can't. And that sounds like a you problem. And that brings me to my third segment, which is I am my own niche, bitch. I am my own niche. And I'm perfectly happy being my own niche. I don't need to fit into a box. I don't need to fit into whatever definitions you have of Brazilians. I don't need to fit into, whatever idea of branding or content you have for me. Oh, Laura only talks about sex education. Laura only talks about comedy. Laura only talks about immigration. Laura only talks about supernatural stuff. Guess what? Laura talks about whatever Laura wants, okay? Because Laura is the theme of the show. Period. I am my own niche. I will never fit in any box that you put me in. And the more I try to get my projects to be fitting within a brand, the more inauthentic I feel to myself. Like, there was a period of time where I wanted to do travel and lifestyle blogging. I wanted to have a blog called Foreigner Diaries. And my idea was that I was just going to do lifestyle events, food blogging, like things like that around Toronto, mostly for Brazilians. And it's an idea that I'll probably eventually do, but my attempt to box myself in, specifically as a lifestyle and travel blogger, was giving me a hard time because it was requiring a certain pose or etiquette online that I just don't have in comparison to other lifestyle, influencers. I found that when it came to sex education, I love sex education. There was a very intense period where I wanted all of my online persona, all of my content to be in one way or another related to sex education. And it's like, again, I don't fit in with that crowd, you know? Like, a lot of the sex educators that you see online are very academic people. They're very strictly academic people. They talk in ways which are strictly educational, strictly, professional. And again, like, I don't fit in with them as a crowd, right? Like, I agree with everything they say. I engage with their content, but I don't fit in as my own, you know? Comedians, even comedians, I've tried to do content that was strictly related about comedy and stuff, and it turned out that it was also giving me a hard time, because when I tried to box myself in as a stand-up comedian or a just comic in general, I lost myself entirely. I was trying to mirror myself based on what was acceptable in the stand-up community, what crowds usually engage with. I shaped up my entire set list for like I started doing comedy in 2016, and I would say from 2016 until 2019, so that's 3 years, all of my jokes were inauthentic. They were all jokes that I thought the Canadian audiences wanted to hear, based on what stand-up comics told me that I should be doing. And I just wanted to fit in with other stand-up comics. I wanted to fit in within the random Canadian crowd that would just go to a comedy show, And anyway, the point is that every time I try to put myself into a niche, I can't follow through with it. Every time I want to create a project for a show based on a specific niche, I always end up feeling boxed in and trapped. And at the end of the day, I think that people should follow me and follow the show if they want to see every single project that I'm doing. And if there's only a specific category of projects that I do that you like, eventually these projects are gonna start being categorized naturally. If I'm doing the show weekly and talking about whatever I want, like, there will be weeks where I'm talking about sex education. There will be weeks where I talk about supernatural stuff. There will be weeks where I'm straight up just telling stories about things that happen to me or my friends in Canada. There will be weeks where I'm gonna be reviewing movies I will talk about whatever I want. And chances are that I will talk about these things multiple times in multiple episodes. Eventually, you're bound to have, my YouTube channel with a playlist where it's like all these sex education episodes, all the immigration episodes, all the comedy sketch episodes. Like, it's not my job to filter myself out for you. And it's also not my job to find a niche for you. I am the niche. So you can either enjoy my show because you want to hear what I have to say, or you don't enjoy my show and I'm still getting a portfolio out of this. So I don't care what you have to say. I'm doing this for me. I am editing it for me so that I can get hosting practice, so that I can get editing practice, so that I can get experience. This is for me. If I get anyone listening to me and they say, Laura, I love your show, I resonate with it, I relate to something, I learned from you, then great, that's a bonus. I'm gonna be super happy, but I will not be looking to your validation for this. And that sums up the reasons I'm doing this. I want to say bye to my imposter syndrome, and I'm gonna post this show as uncensored, unfiltered, and unedited as possible. I know that doesn't sound super exciting right now because you're mostly just hearing me mumble, but trust me, eventually we're gonna get to episodes that I'm really passionate about, episodes that piss me off. And I guarantee you that having me unfiltered, uncensored is a niche, is a very specific niche. What can you expect from the Laura Faritos show moving forward? Well, you can expect to learn how to swear in Portuguese. That's a must. I don't know, maybe I'll do a segment every episode where I'm like, well, today's swear word in Portuguese is, and if you listen to enough episodes, you should have like a vocabulary of swear words in Portuguese so that you can say that to a Brazilian and then hopefully get punched. Imagine getting my listeners punched. And yeah, you can expect to have some really funny cuss words to tell Brazilians. You can expect to have episodes where I'm basically just talking about my life or relevant stories, anything that came up that week that I thought was relevant. Sometimes I'll tell you stories about the many near-death incidents that I've witnessed. I am one of those chaotic people whose life is like a constant reality show, I know there's been like a lot of memes online where it's like a person on a video call, they pick up the video call and they're running and it's like, oh hi, sorry, just somebody chasing me, what's up? And it's like, I'm that friend. I am the chaotic friend who will pick up a call in the middle of like being chased by somebody with an axe. Something that did happen, mind you. So sometimes I'll talk about my life, some of the funny stories I've been through, anything relevant that I'm, dealing with. I am going to a radio conference in Las Vegas in a few weeks, and I'm definitely going to do an episode about that because I've never been to one of those like radio conferences. I have no idea what to expect. Am I going to network with people? Am I, going to make myself known in the industry? I don't know. Am I just gonna be unnoticed, unbothered, unperceived, and just enjoy some lectures? I really don't know what to expect. I haven't even been to Las Vegas ever. It's gonna be very fun. So I want to talk about that and any fun experiences that I have here. I want to talk about that. Sometimes, if I don't have a specific personal story to talk about, I would like to be inviting friends over, and then we can talk about some funny stories together. Sometimes, if I have a specific topic that I'm passionate about that week, I would like to be inviting experts, for interviews and stuff. And sometimes when I have a specific product that I just cannot stop raving about, I will probably interview a business owner. So, long story short, what do you expect out of the Laura Faritos show? You should expect my spicy personality. You should expect to learn some swear words in Portuguese. You should expect to hear some of my stories. Yes. And you should expect to hear me interviewing either friends, business owners, or potentially comedians. And that's it. That's episode 0 of the Laura Faritos show, in which I say bye to my imposter syndrome and I say hello to you. And this was the episode. You've made it to the end. You listened to my voice this whole time and it didn't drive you crazy. Congratulations! Thank you so much for supporting me. I truly appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, I would be talking to myself. So, thank you! If you'd like to stay up to date with my weekly episodes and occasional videos, please follow me on Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Laura Faritos. If you'd like to stay up to date with my work besides the show, please go ahead and sign up for my monthly newsletter. There, I summarize key takeaways from my episodes, I share links to any other content I produce, and I also include tickets to comedy shows, so that's always nice. Finally, if you'd like to take an extra step and support the making of the show, please consider making a one-time donation, buying my merch, or signing up for my Patreon for just $2 a month. You get all my content ad-free, full length, and sometimes even the behind-the-scenes process. I'm looking at you, media production students. You like the show? Do you? Do you? You like the show? Prove it. Give me your money. Pay me cash. Dollars. I want dollars. This has been a public service announcement. See you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.
Sou foda.